you have all the ingredients that are needed. Like a forest, you have everything.
Yeah.
Because if you look at forest, every part of it gives, right? And it's
Right.
so important for thriving and the world surviving, right? So I think it's a great space if we were to look at ourselves as becoming the forest and not
Wonderful.
withdrawing, not withdrawing, no withdrawal here.
Hi. Welcome to Gen Seasoned. I'm Anuradha and I'm speaking to Vandana Srivastava, the founder CEO of Zuva Life. She's supporting people in navigating midlife transitions and reframing midlife as a season of growth, connection, and possibility.
Hey, thank you so much for the introduction, Anu. Yeah, you kind of summed it up all. Yes, we work in the space of midlife transitions, helping midlifers craft their 2.0. So that's what we do, and we do it across with many in very different ways. We do it through conversations, we do it through workshops, programs that we run short term, long term. So yes, this is our area of work.
That's great because I came across Zuva Life and I heard your talk when you were doing it with the Wisdom Circle. So
Yes.
that was really nice. That's when I first heard about it, and it sounded very exciting. Especially because this podcast we're doing it for people over 50, but yours is I think also aimed at people over 40. That's
Yes.
when it starts. Yeah. Hmm.
So actually, when we started working, we had thought late 40s and early 50s. I mean, from late 40 onwards, but we met people who were much younger and felt they were already in the midlife phase. And hence, we kind of moved back the age group to take in people who were, who felt like they were already transitioning, they had already reached midlife. And this is a world where people also are looking at that the fire thing, no? Financially independent, retire. And so there were many people in that space. So hence, we thought of pivoting it back into 40s,
Yeah,
early
it
40s.
makes sense because, even for me, I've seen that, you enter a new decade and then you almost start thinking of yourself at the end of it. So when I'm in my 40s, I'm like, oh, I'm going to turn 50 soon. Now I'm in my 50s, I'm like, oh God, I'm going to be 60 soon. So I think it's very natural to
I
think
know.
ahead. So
Yeah.
it makes sense, and in your 30s, now I feel, oh, it was so young, but you're already thinking of yourself as somewhere in your 40s.
Right, I know, I
Yeah.
know. Yeah, that's an interesting way of looking at it, and it's so true. Actually, it's so
Yeah,
true.
yeah. So we're all transitioning into midlife. So even maybe somebody young in their 20s, that's what you call an old soul, right?
Yes, yes,
Yeah,
yes. No,
yeah.
in fact, in one of the workshops that we were doing, there was somebody who was in early 30s, and she said,
Oh,
I want to be part of the bigger program because I think I'm transitioning and I fit all criteria. And I said, my God, who are we to define? But yes, we did tell her that you will be with people who will be midlifers. But she said, I kind of, tick all the things that you're asking for. So yeah, transitions are happening. And I think given the fact that we are living longer, there are going to be many small, uh, you know, many phases of life, unlike how it was earlier. Like we had three-phase life or four-phase life, as per the
yeah,
Indian
yeah.
philosophy of four ashrams. But I think people are really transitioning much faster now than they were doing, and so there are many
Right.
careers that they have in a career span of about 30 years. People have many careers.
Yeah, that's true because now it's what you call a multi-hyphenate, right? There's so many careers and so many things one person is doing. All of us, in fact. Like I was
Uh,
seeing your background, you come from brand building, sales, marketing, and basically design thinking. That's what I saw. So that
right.
design thinking, I guess, has got translated into Zuva life as well. So tell me, before we get into longevity and all those other conversations, important conversations, it's equally important. I want to know like how you got into this and started Zuva life.
So I think I've worked in different forms actually. I started in a very conventional corporate role, then pivoted to start something of my own, then came back to the corporate world, and somewhere in between, I had started feeling a shift, which was close to my 50s, perhaps, is when I had started feeling this, and this was the same time when I also saw. A lot of people who were feeling it similar to me. Uh, I also witnessed my parents aging, and they aged very differently. My dad uh, had a very strong sense of purpose, right? He was involved, agile in many ways, lived beyond 100. And mom, who was equally strong, perhaps stronger, she kind of declined very quickly after his passing away, because I think he was the anchor that she had. And it really made me think differently about what is that keeps us going, right? It is more than health. It is more than, like we associate aging, and then we say that we need to be careful about our health. But I think what anchors is that one thing that keeps us going, that one purpose that keeps us going. And I think that's what happened. And I, honestly speaking, I started working with seniors. I started doing psychosocial support for seniors. That's what Zuva Life started with. But at that stage, it's a lot about care and caregiving. But if we want to make that big change or big shift in our mindsets, that happens earlier. And hence we pivoted back into midlife. And yeah, and that was the beginning of Zua Life as we see it now.
Yeah, that's great. And when you're talking about your mother, it makes me question what you just said, that what is it that keeps us going?
Yeah.
So, what did you find, through, I mean, your own relationships, your own growth, and, through Zuva Life? What is it that keeps us going? A sense of purpose? What is it?
So what I wanted to say is, of course, purpose is something. Uh, it's very abstract if you think about it, right? But I think it's something that keeps energizes you. It keeps you going. Uh, what gives you energy when you wake up in the morning? Uh, no big goals, no labels, but something that is meaningful and aligned to who you are, who with your values, and also uh, with your strengths. It's something that uh, like I said, energizes you and not drains you. And if it takes, I think all those things, that's what purpose means. And this is a definition that I believe in. I think it's individual for each thing, but anything that you wake up to and energizes you is what keeps us going.
Yeah, what you're saying, it sounds nice. You get up in the morning, there's a certain flow, you're not thinking too much about it, you're energized, you have a purpose, and you're living. What we
Yeah.
do, through maybe till our 30s, and for some people in their 40s, you have a career path, you have a purpose, you have to buy a house, you have to, if you have children, you have to do their, ensure their education and things like that. So, like, you shared this article on LinkedIn where you wrote about the old maps failing, right? And you said that, all the boxes are ticked, and beneath that, there is a restlessness, right?
Yeah.
So, how do we basically look at this?
See, it's the first half of life is very well designed for us, right? We have been trained to do this, right? We go to school, we go to college, there's job, then there's career, there's marriage, there's children. Everything goes in a very linear way and very well defined way, right? There's a map for that is available, and that's something that we have lived in, which, right, there's somewhere in between when a lot of these things start getting ticked is what I sense, and I have spoken to people, is that that's when the restlessness starts. We have space to think, we have space to even look within. There's a lot of questions that come up, right? And I feel if we don't pause, right, they become chatter, right? Because we keep pushing them back, right? A lot of times, that's why midlife gets clichédly spoken as crisis. But this is when it's such a good time. It's such a fertile space for us to redesign what we can for the next 50 years of our life. Because given the fact that we are growing, we are having better healthcare, right? We perhaps going to live longer, uh, beyond 70s. Like, given today's the average age span is somewhere around 69 for men and 72 for women, but that's an average age span. People are
Yeah.
living
It's still
longer.
considered young now, being in your 60s, even 70s. And people are very
Yes, yes.
active. Yeah.
People are active. Given the fact that we are going to have a longer life to live, are we going to be living better, right? And hence, this is such a good space just to pause and say that what are these questions? Can I even look at them and say what am I asking my own self, and then design life based on that. So this is our invitation at this stage, that can we make this crisis into a crossing.
Yeah. Crisis into a crossing, and that's really nice. So you mentioned the different stages in Hindu philosophy and ashrams. So Vanprasth is something, like going into the forest. It's something
Yes,
you talked about even in the wisdom circle thing, and that sounded very interesting. So can you tell us about that in this whole 100-year life? And I suppose what it means is that Vanprasth period is increasing, right? It's not like you're immediately going into sannyas, so
no,
just
it is
end
still
of
the
life.
same. See,
Okay.
as per the Indian or Hindu philosophy, uh, life is divided into four chapters of
Yeah.
25 years each. So it
Right.
is a 100-year life. The first
Right, right.
25, right, is the
Yeah,
brahmacharya, where you focus on education, and the next 25 is grasth, where
yeah,
it
yeah.
is all about
Householder, yeah.
domestic life, of building of uh, all those tick marks that happen. The next 25 years, which are known as the Vanaprastha. I mean, looking at it, do we go to the forest, right? Because after that is another 25 years of sannyasa. But
Yeah,
I think this, if you were to look at it, and if you were to think of it differently, these 25 years are a space where you become the forest, is what I feel. Like, not going into the forest, because you become the forest, because you have everything that is needed for an ecosystem to grow. You have wisdom, right? You have knowledge, right? And like a forest can give in many ways, during the day and at night as well. So if you were to look at as a point of contribution, where you can make the societies thrive by what you provide, that's what a forest does, right? A forest is also made of many trees together, right? It holds space for people, it holds space for life to grow, right? So that's been my take on Vanaprastha, that I've written about also. I think that's where you're quoting from.
yeah, yeah. So basically, it's you become the forest. I think that's beautiful. So you're nurturing, you're thriving, and you're giving back, right? It's a period of giving back.
Yes, it's a give, and you have all the ingredients that are needed. Like a forest, you have everything.
Yeah,
Because if you look at forest, every part of it gives, right? And it's
right.
so important for thriving and the world surviving, right? So I think it's a great space if we were to look at ourselves as becoming the forest, and not
Wonderful.
withdrawing, not withdrawing, no withdrawal here.
No withdrawal, no withdrawal. Yeah, so you're like deep into the world and you're giving back and you're more involved than ever, right?
Right,
So I
and
think,
you do
mhm.
from a space of choice, because I think that's what you've earned so far.
Yeah, and a lot of it makes me think, a lot of these conversations around aging and all that these days on longevity, really, it says that you're becoming something, right? So I
Yeah.
think it's really nice to think that you're becoming a forest. So,
No, think of it. What you've learned over the years, what you have accumulated in terms of knowledge, even in terms of wealth, and I think the biggest wealth that we have is our knowledge. And then if you were to turn the lens from inward to outward, it would be so nice, right?
yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, it's inward and outward, right? It's not just retreating inwards, right? So,
Yeah, so no,
yeah,
when I said inward, I meant we were talking about what we can do for ourselves, and
right.
that's what was the first 50 years of life. We were educating ourselves, we were growing, right, in positions, in families, in everything. But as as we shift into the next 50 years of our life, what if it was about others, right?
Yeah.
What contribution, what can we contribute, what can we give, what can we provide? Because now we have all that is needed to provide others. So
So tell me, what are the challenges, that you see? Because, you've been holding these workshops and, talking to so many people. So what are they coming up with? Like, I was surprised, like, I was talking to somebody in another podcast and they said that, I also came across this, and it's surprising because that even at, midlifers, people who are seniors, they are also taking care of elderly parents. It's not like they are that that they need caregivers. They're also, so, things like this.
so
Besides
much.
career transitions, so what are the things that you've seen?
No, so like I was telling you, see, our bodies are changing very obviously for some of us, but subtly for others. They are changing and they are demanding different things for us. So that's one thing that's happening very clearly. Children are leaving the nest, right? It's a
Yeah,
very different adapting to that itself is something new for us. Women, of course, are going through menopause, which fortunately in today's world is spoken about, and there are a lot of sharing circles and spaces for us to lean on. For men, there aren't as many
yeah,
spaces,
yeah. True, very
right?
true.
And like you said, parents are aging, and while they're aging, there is so much shift that happens, right, from being somebody who was cared for being the child. The role switches, right? And you look at them, they're changing every day, right? um, and in fact, this year, that experienced a lot of uh, yeah, no, my husband lost both his parents, and I lost my parents some time back, and it just brings back so much to you,
Yeah,
from being the child you become.
right.
There is a role reversal, right? There are small subtle changes, and being caregiver is not an easy thing.
Yeah,
A caregiving to a child and caregiving to a parent are very different, right? You are still the child, and hence um, there's a hierarchy that exists, right? But
yeah,
still, there are times when you need to step up and become the parent. So it's struggle, it's difficult, it's it's also there are new things that are coming up. Uh, we weren't so aware of, mental decline, for instance. That's
yeah,
a very, very, very. But there are lovely people who are supporting the caregivers as well. So I'm very glad that there aren't many spaces like that, but there are spaces which are there for caregivers to go and find solace, because it's hard. It's really hard to see your parent wither away slowly,
yeah,
especially when you're going through, um, you know, any kind of ailment, whether it's physical or it's mental. It's very hard, and you need support. It's physically tiring. You are not young yourself,
you're
right?
not young yourself. There are people in their 70s looking after,
Age is
aged
catching up.
parents.
No, in fact, we had, and also there's also we see some really lovely things. We had this sharing circle at Manotsav,
Yeah.
and we had a 92-year-old participant who came with her 70-year-old daughter.
How sweet.
Yeah, and it was so lovely to see that. But it is, yeah, of course, this 92-year-old was thriving. She, according to her daughter, was manages everything herself. Her cooking, her house, her everything. She lives all by herself. But yes, if you're 70 and if you have to take care of somebody who's 92 or 95 and is not doing well, it's not easy. It's not easy. So yeah, those are
Yeah, and also
challenges.
you're an empty nester by then, because so it's just senior citizens in the household, I'm imagining,
No,
so
and sometimes you become empty nesters and children come back also and start.
yeah,
Well, so you might have three generations and you're catering to the youngsters here and the old
yeah,
ones there. It's not, or you're grandparenting at the same time, right?
yeah, yeah.
So this is a sandwich generation, as they call that. Now, yeah, you
Hmm.
have kids who might be married and have children, and hence their demands from there, and you have parents who are aging and
Hmm.
not well, and you have demands there. It's a tough phase.
Where
It's
you're
a
there to help them out. So At least have those
Yeah.
conversations, right? So I think that's the
But
first
there
step.
are organizations which are completely focused on helping caregivers.
Yeah, yeah. So that's what I'm saying. The conversation has started and things are coming up, which is really nice, you know. At least there's awareness. You don't have to
Absolutely.
go it alone all the time.
And also,
Yeah.
like, to have open conversations, to have a community where you can share that, what all we are going, where we are meeting people going through similar life transitions. And it's so
Yeah.
nice. And to know that I'm not alone, I think that itself is uh, empowering, enabling in so many ways, right?
Absolutely. So this is one, you know, like caregiving challenges, and others, of course, the professional challenges. Because, you know, even if I've seen, like, you know, it starts in your 40s and by 50s, it's a reality because there are not many takers for what you do. You know,
Yes.
the workforce is getting younger, and you know, so all those things. So is that also must be a challenge, and I think it's also an opportunity to redesign your life, right? So,
That's our prime invitation to be. See,
right.
unfortunately, when the retirement age was set at 58, the lifespan span at that point in time was 55 years. We were supposed
Yeah.
to go while working, right?
Yeah.
The lifespan has gone up to 70, but we still have at the most 62, as in India at least. That's the thing. See, people still have energy. You are much healthier than you were, right? And even if you look at 20 years of people earlier,
Yeah.
you're much healthier, you're more agile. And what's going to happen? Of course, one thing is the challenge, that what do you do after that? And hence, this is an invitation for you to come and redesign your life, align it with your purpose, align it with your strengths, your values, and redesign what you want to do next for the next 10, 15, 20 years of your life. So start with 5 years or 10 years and then move slowly. And it's an invitation to look at your life at every 10 years and say that what can I do next? So at 50, you need to relook at yourself, your strength, your energy, your skills, right? Do you need to upskill
Yeah.
yourself? Relevance, right? And at 60, similarly, right? To figure out, and because everything is changing, energy is changing, it is reality. But to be able to realign and redesign and redefine yourself is what is the invitation that we are saying. And yes, those are challenges that people are retiring early, and what are they going to do for the next? I mean, there's a nice honeymoon period for about the first 2 years when you're traveling and you're doing
Yeah.
all, then
Yeah.
suddenly there's this freedom that you have, but
Freedom.
that
Yeah.
doesn't last long, right? After some time it starts, it's there's an identity, almost like an identity shift that happens, right? And to be able to acknowledge, to be able to understand, and look at it much earlier than it happens, right? Because
Yeah.
otherwise we can just drift into this phase. So
Yeah.
if we can just look at it and redesign for ourselves, we'll not drift. We'll do it with intention. And
Yeah,
that's
yeah. Intention is key, I suppose. You know, this, you said that, you know, you retire by 58 and lives are designed till, you know, not living so long. It reminds me of this interview with George Clooney. He did this movie recently, Jay Kelly. And
right.
he said that, you know, at 65, he's around 64 or 65. And he said that when he was younger and he heard somebody died at that age, he would say, oh, they had a good life. So, you know,
I know.
and now in his case, you know, he's leading a movie, he's got young kids, and, you know, he's thriving, you know. Yeah.
No, and you look at how life is changing. Like, people are
Yeah.
marrying late, right?
Mm.
Having children late,
Yeah.
right? So hence, you're not even thinking of, like, at 64
Yeah.
you're done, right?
Yeah.
Because you might still have young children here. They might be going to college, right?
Mm.
So I mean, world itself is having different demands from you. And no, the other thing is, of course, when you talk about these 50s, I think it's almost like you're back into your teenage life.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's like, I heard somebody speak about it, that you're almost teenagers. You're the teenagers of the senior life,
Yeah.
and there's so much focus that's given on in your teenage, because you're designing for the next 30 years. I think that's the kind of focus that needs to be given in this space of life also, so that you can design the next 20, 30 years of your life with intention, knowing what you want to do, and understanding that your bodies are also changing. So
Yeah.
design as you like, basically, as you want, with intention.
Yeah, that's interesting because I feel like that, literally like a teenager again, because I feel like when I was in college trying to figure out which way I want to go, what career, how, what courses to take, I feel like I'm back there. So sometimes
Yeah.
it's frustrating, but other times I feel, young, really, lack of another word.
No,
Yeah.
honestly, if somebody would say that, oh, are you tired or do you want to slow down? Find these questions hard because I don't want to do that. I don't feel like that. So, but at the same time, just to be conscious of what's happening at every stage, just to be in your body at times also, and not
Yeah.
only in your head, is also important. Both the things. But yes, I have energy. I just turned 60, and I don't think I am done. So this is a
Just
great phase.
starting. Yeah.
Yes, this is a great phase because if you were to look at it, that this is that phase of life when you can design the next 20, 30 years of your life, whichever way you want to design. It's great. Also to be, conscious of the fact that as the demographic shift is happening, they're going to be, we are the youngest we'll ever be now, India,
Yeah.
right? Because the replacement ratio is going down, right? So there will
Right.
not be as many youngsters, as many in another 10 years, the demographic shift is going to be very evident. So to be aware that it is good for the economy for this generation to remain active, um, and not to be burdening their kids, right? Because like we were talking about caregiving,
Yeah.
right? And also there's so much psychosomatic that happens, when your minds are not occupied or you're not busy, right? Uh, you start, and you're not fulfilled.
Yeah.
Starts showing in your body, right? And the decline happens. And then that's the strain, that's the other strain of caregiving that happens. And there have been conversations happening around that. How can corporates look at it differently? How can they provide those leave for caregiving or benefits for care, support for caregiving for
Yeah.
this generation? But this caregiving can increase drastically, right? If people who are getting older are not, uh, you know, for a better word, thriving.
Yeah. Yeah.
So we are
Well, we
looking
need
at
that support now because that the population is increasing and it will keep increasing, right?
it
The
will
aging
keep, and
population.
so
Yeah.
we have to create a world where people in the 60s and 70s thrive, where people redefine themselves in 40
Yeah.
and 50s, because I think uh, the idea is to redesign now so that you live better 70s and
Yeah.
80s.
Yeah. And corporates need to get behind that really
Right,
because,
right. So
yeah, for their own
hence,
employees and, as the population gets older to, bring them into the fold and create
correct.
spaces for them. And
Can you
mm,
extend their, the retirement age, or
yeah.
can design programs where people can redefine themselves? So
Yeah.
pre-retirement programs like
Mm,
the section or the employees who are going to
mm.
retire, can corporates look at it? And there are conversations that are happening.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah.
I attended a
Mm,
couple of weeks back. Why Vikas is holding such conversations that corporates were saying that what
mm.
can we do? Where, of course, there is one part where how can we support the midlifers
Yeah.
uh, in caregiving and giving them support around that, but also these midlifers, how can they then now, redesign and redefine their life
Yeah.
as they
And give back,
age?
give back to the corporation, what we were
Absolutely.
talking about earlier. Yeah.
Yes, yes.
Mm.
And and it's a good time. 50s is a good time to start redesigning for the next decade or so.
Yeah. Oh, so much work to do. I'm just thinking.
No, it's not work because you will otherwise drift into your 60s, and
Yeah.
sometimes then you lose energy, right?
Mm.
There's a
That's true.
momentum because what the momentum you set it, see, you are already in a momentum, right? You're
Yeah.
working the momentum, and if that you can continue that so that you just with that momentum move into your 60s with
Mm.
energy rather than then drifting and then saying, oh my God, I
Yeah.
just lost. And
That
there's so
that's
much,
true.
yeah,
That's true. No,
the
I
idea,
think it's society that does that to you, because it's your you're 50 or you must be retiring now, or you're 60, you're still working, or you're 70, you still want to do something. So that's still word,
yeah.
that so I think that gets into people because otherwise why stop, That's what it
And
is.
do it from choice, not because somebody's
Not because
telling
of choice. Yeah.
you. Yeah,
Hmm.
you can see it. What is it? Retirement today is like a cliff, right? You go,
Hmm.
you kind of drop.
Yeah.
Can it become a ramp?
Hmm.
Right? You can slowly move into easing life as you
Yeah.
go.
Easing life. Yeah. At your
Yeah,
term, on your terms.
at your time, at your choice. You
Yeah.
know, right from doing 8 to 10 hours, you might start doing 5 hours. It's a choice,
Hmm.
and it's a great place because you have the agency, you have the choice at this
Yeah.
stage. You've already, like I said, all tick boxes are done. Now you're
Hmm.
designing for yourself. All
Hmm.
those dreams, all those as a youngster you didn't couldn't do, not only
Hmm.
travel but other things as well. This is a great time for you
Yeah.
to do and also give back. I think if
And
there
give
is
back. Yeah.
something that you can do, it's amazing.
Yeah, that's great, Vandana. Tell me, I just want to know what resources one can look at, other than Zuba Life. There are, I think, a lot of books that one can read to
So many
understand the
books.
midlife transition.
There's so many books that, in fact, last week we published on our LinkedIn page. There's a little list of about 6, 7 books that you can
Oh,
add to
this is a
your
Zuba Life LinkedIn page or your personal
Zuva Life LinkedIn
Zuba
page.
Life? Okay.
Yeah, there is there, and of course there's one book I think that's been something I've been really is if you can see the book, I don't know whether you can see it properly. If you can see the tags that are there on this book,
Yeah, I
this
can
is
see the tags. Yeah.
this is a book called From Strength to Strength.
I
It's by
picked it up, recently. I
it's
was going to
such
go
a
through it before speaking to you today, but I didn't have the time. But I definitely will after this.
then there is this book called Finding Meaning in the Second Half of Life. This is by James Hollis. That's a great book. Of course, one of the books I think which has got a lot of people thinking is The 100-Year Life. This
Okay.
is by I think Andrew J. Scott, if I'm not
Okay.
mistaken.
I'll look it up. Yeah. Hmm.
Yeah. And then there is this whole list of books that we just last week itself published on
Okay.
a good reading on midlife. I think you can just add it to your reading list
Yes, yes, I'll do that.
for
I'll add
next
it to the
year.
description. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. It's
Hmm.
it's it's a nice list. A lot of it. I mean, there's a lot that you can learn from, and see. Also, there are a lot of psychologists who have written about this. Um, there are some there are a lot of resources I mean I can share it. You can perhaps put it on
Yeah, absolutely. I'd love
yeah,
to do that. That'll be really
yeah.
nice. Yeah.
I'll share that. And of course there's some things I've written a few articles as well
Okay.
on LinkedIn. Maybe I can share those with you also.
Yeah, people should follow you on LinkedIn then. No, I went through a couple. That's what I'm saying, so they
Yeah,
were quite nice. So,
spend
yeah.
time doing that because this is also something that it's a great place because I'm learning too. uh, I've just been trying to read as much on that to bring to people what are the best things that they can do as life changes, to understand also this phase of life, right? What I'm feeling is something is been written about also, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Carl Jung has written
Hmm.
such beautiful things on this phase of life.
Hmm.
Really, really. This is such an he calls it the afternoon of life.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
The afternoon, not the evening. That's nice.
not the afternoon of life.
Yeah.
Really. So we can you can slow down, but you can still enjoy.
Still enjoy, yeah. Slowing down, but savoring it. I guess you're savoring
Savoring.
life now. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, I think it's a
Hmm.
good word.
Yeah. Thank you,
You can
Vandana. These are great messages, that, you have to redesign your life for the next 30 years with intention. And
yes.
what I really love is, to becoming the forest. So giving back. Yeah. So nice.
Thank you
Yeah.
so much. Thank you so much for hosting me.
Yeah.
Uh,
My pleasure.
thanks.